Employee?
Well, I'm retired Army.
Oh, Army, you're military?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
And anyway, you know, we're not getting a raise. I know him.
Now, you're not getting a raise.
Well,
COLA's not a raise, that's a cost of living.
I know that, But then, in that paragraph here, then down at the very last part of it down here, says, due to an increase in the federal income tax withholding, most retirees will see a reduction in their net retired pay.
What they're telling you, they're saying that we're gonna withhold more of the money that you were supposed to get, and we're gonna hold it for income tax purposes, is that right?
That's what it said, but Obama just said, if you make less than $250,000, there ain't gonna be no increase in
But that's not the law. What he says is one thing, that's called rhetoric. And what the law is, well, let me tell you what bothers me in America.
I call it something else.
But you know what's dangerous in America? That 5% of the population is paying over 50% of all the taxes. That's not right. That's wrong. And about 50% of the people are paying no taxes. No taxes. Now, I think everybody that's working ought to pay some taxes. That ought to be fair, but they ought to pay some. But to exempt 50% of the population, pretty soon, it might be 4% of the population paying all the taxes. And you got the country turned upside down. Haven't you?
Yeah.
And so, I think our income taxes structure is horrible. I have tried to change it, you know, to no avail, to a flat rate tax, where you pay taxes once, you don't pay when you die, you don't pay capital gains tax, you save, they don't tax your savings, they don't tax dividends, they don't tax your pensions, they don't tax Social Security, you know.
Work all your life trying to save some money.
And we would become a nation of savers instead of spenders. Now, would that change our economy? I think it's positive. We would have more capital, wouldn't we? We would do it. Be no deductions, we wouldn't need it. Now, is that idealistic? Be practical. Well, some of the countries are adopting the flat rate tax, you know, new countries. But we've got the idea that if you do well, we're going to tax you. And who creates jobs? Let me tell you this. Who creates a lot of small business jobs? We're 80% of it. It's not somebody on welfare. They can't create any jobs. It's people who do well. A lot of them are high school dropouts now. My mother would kill me if I'd done that, you know. But a lot of them, like Bill Gates, quit school. I'm sure his parents had a stroke, you know. Michael Dell went to the University of Texas one day and came home. His mother and dad had a stroke. Said, I've learned everything at the University of Texas. And he probably had one day. And then made billions and created hundreds of thousands of jobs for people. It's people take risk and create capital. Don't you think it's true?
Of course.
It's true. And if we kill the goose and laid the golden egg, you've heard that all your life, but it's true. There won't be any more eggs. We'll be fighting over a small pie. And politicians will promise you, whether it's Obama or Smith or Jones or whatever, God, we're going to do all these things for you. The government's going to do all these things. You're the government. You're the government. And the government is up to here in debt. But that's what your last thing is. They're raising. They probably did it just through the IRS, you know. Yes, sir.
Supposedly going back to the taxing people, I've been in business for 46 years.
Worked all your life.
Worked all my life. But now they penalize a man that tries to get ahead.
I agree.
Super bad. People in small business that don't really know about a small business like I was running, how bad the government penalizes you. They'll get taken over 50% of what your gross income is. And that's tough. And I was trying to work 20 or 30 men, had that many on the payroll most of the time. But they just taxed me to death. I just had to get out of it.
You know, I thought when President Reagan was president, and we lowered the taxes, the top rate was 28%. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
in the Senate a capital gains tax, no tax, caucus. We're not there yet. When I went to the Senate, the capital gains was 28%. That's one of the highest in the world. And that stifles long-term investment. Crazy. We lowered it first, and we had to fight the Democrats with this. You know those stories. We had to fight them. We finally got it to 15%. Some of that's going to expire. They think that's great. That's going to hurt our economy. People aren't going to sell if they're in buy and sell, and if they going to pay 28%. You think I'm crazy, probably, but you got to have a fluid, moving economy. You got to have things mixed. You got to have banks loaning money. You can't take everything people are over too much tax. You'll stifle the economy, won't you? You'll stifle incentive. You will stifle the money that somebody, it might be you, ma'am, I just use you as an example here, that you start a small business here, and you got your living, and you have some good years, and you set aside some money, you say the taxes are not, say, not exorbitant. You said, I've got some money, I'll buy something, might buy something or build something, create a few jobs. That's how the market works. And it's very complicated, but Marx never understood that. And the socialists never understand that, and some of our politicians don't understand it. I understand it. I've been there. I put a payroll. I think you shouldn't send anybody to the United States Senate or Congress and hadn't put a payroll together, hadn't owed money, hadn't borrowed money, hadn't taken a risk in the marketplace. Because they're going to make decisions that affect you and your economy that they don't understand, never experienced. And don't you agree?
I agree with that.
I know, I was asked when I first went to the state senate, this crusty old guy, and I was the youngest man down there then I was. He said, have you ever voted on anything that affected people's property or their life? It's on the state level. I said, no, I hadn't. I've never been in public office. He said, son, he called me. He said, before you vote on anything, I tell this story ever. It's so true. It's in my impress in my brain. Said, read that plaque over on my wall. There's a plaque. I went over there and I read it, and I'm committed to memory. I'll never forget it. The plaque read, no man's life, property, no man's life and property was safe while the Alabama legislature was in session. Think about it. So, but that's true of the Congress. We do things, arbitrarily. We do things that affect you. And you say, God, why? What's the rhyme and reason? You see? And a lot of things are done politically for expediency. Political expediency, economic expediency, with no long-term repercussions, consequences thought about.
Senator Shelby, I believe that quote originated with Mark Twain and it first referred to that he just adopted it for the Alabama legislature.
He may have.
It did.
It's pretty good, though, isn't it?
Great quote. Yeah, sometimes I use it.
I knew it wasn't my quote. I didn't want to be guilty of plagiarism.
Well, Mark Twain, he's dead, so his has fallen into the public domain by now. But you can't spread the wealth around, if you don't tax me to give it to someone.
You got to create more. You got to create more.
True.
Can you?
That's right.
So the biggest, I hate to choose something that's the biggest
go ahead and say it,
if
ma'am.
the dollar,
Hey, you still got freedom of speech.
if the dollar, if it bottoms out, and